Really glad to be here. We've been on a journey at Crown Castle for about 25 years. And I also have a teammate, Brandon, with me. And so who in the audience knows or has done business with Crown Castle already? So we got, about 50% of the people here have and know us, and then there's those that don't. And I'll tell you that if you haven't experienced Crown Castle, hopefully after today, you'll give us a shot. So who is Crown Castle? Probably an unknown to the majority of you, unless you have been in Florida and you experienced the FPL FiberNet story. We're an owner of shared infrastructure. That's kind of what we're all about, right? And so we're in the tower business. We got into the small cell business, which is kind of densifying the network out, allowing carriers to get the signal to all the driverless cars and all the other things that they need for the Internet of Things. So about 7 years ago, Crown Castle went on a journey, and they decided that in order for their company to evolve, they needed fiber as part of their infrastructure. And they went out and they started looking at companies, and I'm proud to say that they didn't just go out and buy just anyone. They went out and they found fiber owners that had a great customer service reputation. They also were looking for a certain DNA in the employees and the owners of those companies. And they also wanted to make sure that those companies were financially sound. This was not a, hey, we're going to take over, we're going to lay off, we're going to save money, and then we're going to do something else. They saw a vision 7 to 8 years ago that they were going to acquire fiber companies and blow them up and make them one of the largest carriers in the United States. So if you go to the next slide, it's working now, that one. We have 80,000 miles of route fiber in the United States. We've made a choice to stay in the United States. We've decided that having assets overseas doesn't do what we want to accomplish, and that is to give the best customer service to our clients. And so in order to do this, we now have 80,000 miles of fiber, 70,000 deployments of small cells, and 40,000 towers. With those 40,000 towers, there are some really cool things going on in our company where we can take those assets and find a way to maybe turn them into landing stations for drones, helping data centers get closer to the end users. So the evolution of Crown is now, and it's really exciting to be here. We're now talking to business partners about other things other than your typical telecom services. We can go to a client of yours that owns a building, and if they're in a high-dense, well-needed area, we can put a tower on their rooftop, provide money back to them to help buy the telecom services that you guys are really trying to sell to them. And so there's some rooftop rights things that are going on. Again, we've got our small cell, our fiber. Fixed wireless is another thing that we're really emerging into. And so it's a really exciting time to be at Crown, because Crown took its time, acquired some really good reputation companies, grew them. It's a shame. There's a couple of companies I can think of back in the day, one that starts with a T, another one that starts with a P, that I wish they were not acquired prior to Crown's desire to get into this space, because I think they had the DNA that we were looking for, and they would have been a great part of this team. So what do, right? We do a lot of things, but this is our product set. And if you can't tell, I drank the purple Kool-Aid. I believe the company is one of the best carriers out there. Our clients believe that. We have an MVP of 65. I don't know if any of you guys know that, but What that means is there's carriers out there that have a negative rating. This is what our clients are saying about our network and the experience of working with Crown. All of our network operations centers are in the United States. We have 4 of them. We answer the phone with an engineer who, if he can't handle the call, he passes it on to the next engineer. And it's seamless. And so it's a great place to be. I've been on the journey for 14 years. I'm now going to start looking at how do we take this to the next evolution of internet. And why are we here at the Titans of Internet? It's because we purchased a company called Vertex. And Brandon was part of that transition. And so now I'm going to hand it over to Brandon to tell you why you should be thinking of Crown Castle in not only your internet conversations, but in a lot of the other conversations that you have with your clients every day.
Thank you, Brenda. So yeah, as Brenda said, my name is Brandon Fink. Recently a new Crown employee, so I still have Vergex colors were blue, so I'm trying to get the blue blood out and the purple blood in a little bit here. But yeah, Vergex was a company started up about 5 or 6 years ago, right? And we were really focused on giving an sd-wan and now a SASE offering. So it was all we did. We were 100% focused on sd-wan SASE utilizing the Versa Networks technology, right? So you may have heard of Vergex, you may not have heard of Vergex, and that's mainly because we put a lot of our R&D into the operational expertise with our engineers, making sure they're dedicated, skilled, and now very experienced in what they're doing, right? I wish I had some slides, but I do not, unfortunately. So what we learned, we really went through the growing pains. We were in the trenches, we learned. We found that there was really 4 offerings that we created that really simplified the partner experience and then the customer experience. So we have our SMB, our enterprise, our SASE, and our home. So if you think about SASE, which is kind of what I want to get into a little bit, with the hybrid and the work from anywhere type of trend, think of it as a VPN replacement. Think of it as VPN on steroids. Another buzzword is SD-WAN Lite. So what SASE is enabling is an end user to connect on a smartphone, PC, tablet, etc., to go back to a secure web gateway and get all that layer 7 security feature functionality, which is really cool for a very low price point of under $10 a user, right? With some of the other offerings with SMB, right, it's a straight up the fairway type of SD-WAN product. With enterprise, you get a little bit more bandwidth, peak throughput, right, and then also get some feature functionalities on the security and on high availability. So what does this all mean for Crown? Well, with Crown, right, and as Brenda said, you hear me better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, as Brenda said, right, when we're talking about fiber and we're talking about rooftop, etc., I mean, you can see everything listed here. We would like to provide an end-to-end solution, right? If that's DIA, supplement it with the SD-WAN, and then ultimately the security. That's great, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is put everything under one umbrella. But where SD-WAN and SASE kind of sticks out, and Crown's thought process on this is, why limit ourselves if, the DIA doesn't necessarily make sense or we can't do it? We still have the option of delivering SD-WAN and SASE domestically or internationally, right? And then on top of that, what's really cool about this technology is that we don't really want to sell it as a primary solution, right? Or even as a product. It is a solution, right? But when you're selling voice, which we don't do, if you're selling UCaaS, if you're selling Teams, which we don't do, and we don't necessarily, we aren't looking for that, what we're asking and what we're, hoping you see is to start thinking about SD-WAN when you're quoting out those deals, because it's a supplementary product, right, to complement some of the things with the voice or Ring Central or Zoom or Teams, because what you're enabling is things like 100% uptime on critical applications, right? Able to optimize your network. If you're talking about security, that's a conversation we can get into right off the bat or down the road and land and expand with you, right? If there's an existing firewall in place, you look at it in a year, you look at it at 2 years, 3 years down the road, we do offer that whole layer 7 security, next-gen firewall, unified threat management. So we don't want you, what we're trying to get at here with this Vergex acquisition is that Crown Castle is here to play in the SD-WAN game, and I do want to touch on the operational expertise, right? And that goes back to Crown, and that's a message that has been talked about from the executive team all the way down, is that Crown only does what we're good at. We're not going to go put our fingers in other pies where we're not necessarily, going to excel. And with Vergex, our operational expertise, we're here to offer the managed service in a very easy way for the end customer. So right from when you deal reg the deal, from pre-implementation to post-implementation, this is a very seamless process. All of our partners from Vergex like working with us. We're easy to do business with. We're very flexible, right? And that's carried over into Crown. So I'll be around to answer any more questions you might have on SD-WAN, SASE, and what we're offering here at Crown. And thank you.
So again, I think you've seen now the evolution of Crown Castle and where we were and where we're going. Another one product I want to touch on is dark fiber. A lot of you in the room may have never experienced dark fiber. What we've learned is there's a lot of clients that have dark fiber. They think they can manage the network and they find out that they can't. And so we have a product that we can come in, we can manage it for them, and actually the partners get the residual on that management of that equipment too. And so something to think about. Again, for every asset that we have, we want multiple clients on it. But I will tell you, our internet product is dedicated. When a client gets the product, it is not over a shared infrastructure. It is not, you get this portion of the bandwidth, and if at peak times you may see an issue. When we provide internet, we provide the CIR that the client asked for, and we put them on a larger port so that if a client experiences an issue, they can now go onto our portal and increase their bandwidth right then and there, and then bring it back down when they don't need it. So again, thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them for you. Appreciate it.